Hello, everyone. I'm Jenny Cochran. I'm the Director of Partnerships with ArborBridge. We are an online tutoring company. We tutor in the SAT, the ACT. We tutor in all academic subjects, AP courses, and we also do tutoring for the GRE and the GMAT. I'm here today to give you a quick, clear breakdown of the SAT and the ACT, the two main standardized tests that are being used for college admissions in the United States. We'll cover what they look like now, how they're scored, key differences between them, and what we're currently recommending based on the latest updates and student feedback. So whether you're an independent education consultant, a parent, or a student, this will help you navigate test planning with more confidence. So first, let's talk about what these tests are and how they fit into the college admissions landscape. The SAT and the ACT are both accepted by every college and university in the United States. Neither test is preferred over the other. They're designed to evaluate college readiness, and they each offer a different experience, especially now that they're both going digital. Let's talk about when students can take the test. Most students take their official test sometime between the fall of their junior year all the way through the fall of their senior year. The goal is to test once, get the results, and then decide whether a retake is needed, or possibly pivot to the other test if the fit wasn't right. We at ArborBridge recommend taking a diagnostic test first before taking any official test. So at ArborBridge, you can contact us. You can contact Karen. She can tell you how to get a hold of us, and we can give your student a free diagnostic SAT test and a free diagnostic ACT test. This is going to give them really accurate data about how they would do on either test. At that moment, you can already decide which test might be preferable. The test scores are also used for scholarships and academic placement, and timelines may vary for international students or those with accommodations. So why does this matter? The SAT, every college in the US, every college in the United States is accepting both of these tests more and more. We had this time period where a lot of schools went test optional, but we're seeing a greater trend towards tests being more important in the admissions landscape. And everybody's got kind of an opinion about this, but here's the real raw data. When the colleges are evaluating students from all different states, the GPA isn't always the best indicator of college readiness because we know that different states and different schools vary on their test on their 4.0 scale. Like what an A means would be different in one state versus another. So a lot of colleges are relying on these test scores, which is the same test given all nationwide to help really evaluate students in a more effective way. Here's how the tests are scored. The SAT is scored on a 1,600-point scale with two sections, reading and writing and math. It's a section-based adaptive test, which means that your performance in the first part of each section in reading and writing and in the first part of math will determine the difficulty on the second part of the test. This has helped shorten the test time while still providing a very accurate score. The ACT is scored out of 36 points based on an average of 3 sections, English, math, and reading. The composite score, that's what they call it, is an average of those 3 sections. Science and writing are becoming optional sections and will become a separate score that students can send to colleges. Here's the key differences between the SAT and the ACT. And this is where it kind of gets personal. So let's talk about how these tests are different and also how they'll feel different. The pacing. The ACT moves fast. On some sections, students have an average of about 8 seconds per question. The SAT is a bit more measured, it's more methodically paced, and it has fewer questions overall. The structure. The SAT, as I said before, uses adaptive modules that adjust as students go. So it depends how a student does on that first module, whether they're replaced in a harder module or a module that's a little bit easier, which will affect the score at the end. The ACT, however, remains a linear test, meaning every student sees the same questions in the same order. The passage style and the reading content also are different. The SAT passages are shorter, they're paired with fewer questions, and they're more bite-sized, whereas the ACT passages are longer, and students often feel a little bit rushed during it. In math, both tests heavily cover Algebra 1 and 2 and some advanced math sections. The SAT will put more emphasis on word problems and real-world data interpretation, whereas the ACT's math is faster paced and includes more geometry and trigonometry. If students choose to take the science section of the ACT, it's a dedicated own science that starting in September of 2025 will become optional. Historically, it's been a really reading-based data analysis type section. We don't know if that's going to change or not. ACT has said that there might be some more questions that are engineering and design based, that there may be some physics questions, but we haven't seen that yet. It's still very historically reading based, being able to interpret graphs, being able to interpret data. Now, the SAT does not have a science section. However, it does include some data interpretation questions that are often embedded in the reading and the math section. The new, some recent updates and some current recommendations from us at ArborBridge. The ACT is going through a bunch of changes. They came out with a new digital format. Their tests used to be 3 hours long and only on paper. Starting in April of this year, they came out with a digital test. That test is still largely unknown to all of us test prep companies. Like, we're getting to know it, but ACT has been very slow in releasing data on that. So we're getting the knowledge as students take the test, and some of our tutors are in there taking the test. After September of 2025, the ACT weekend tests will all be this new digital format. The release of their red book has just come out, and it hasn't given us a real clearer picture. The red book seems to be the same as the old red book, and it doesn't seem to reflect the changes that ACT said they're making or what our test takers have reported. Science, again, like I said, is optional, and it is that if students take this option, they can choose whether or not to report that score to the university of their choice. The SAT updates, the digital SAT has been fully implemented in the United States and internationally. It's shorter. It's about 2 hours. Like I said, it's adaptive. It's taken on the student's own device versus a locations device. And it is taken through the College Board's Blue Book app, which allows for students to preload any accommodations. Students have a built-in calculator for the SAT called Desmos, which was really a very easy to use calculator that can really help students do well on the math section. So here's our current recommendation. Right now, we're seeing that for most students, the digital SAT is the more student-friendly option. It allows for more time per question. It tends to be less overwhelming, and it's more accessible for students with the accommodations and testing anxiety. But every student is different, and that's where some diagnostics are going to come in. At ArborBridge, we offer diagnostics for a free diagnostic test for both the SAT and the ACT, including this brand new digital ACT diagnostic that will mirror the structure of what we saw in April of 2025. We also have personalized recommendations and student test prep timelines to help families and independent educational consultants decide which test is the best fit, especially for students with accommodations or those planning to take the test before December of 2025. If you'd like access to those resources, or you want to talk through what's best for your family, I'm happy to help, as is Karen. So please reach out to ArborBridge. I want to thank you so much for your attention. If you have any questions, please feel free to go to ArborBridge's website, or you can reach out to me at jenny@arborbridge.com. It has been a pleasure to be here tonight, and I hope to talk to you soon.